What's up, Apex XRP report family? Welcome back to the channel where we bring you the latest breaking news and analysis on XRP and the entire crypto market. If you're new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because today we've got some serious developments to cover. The crypto market just took a massive hit, and XRP is feeling the pain right alongside Bitcoin and the rest of the market. We're going to break down exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, what you need to know to navigate through this storm. So let's dive right in and get you up to speed on everything that's going down in the crypto space right now. All right, so here's the situation we're dealing with today. The crypto market has been absolutely hammered with a massive price shock that's sending shockwaves through the entire industry. If you've been watching your portfolio, you've probably noticed that Bitcoin has crashed below $85,000. XRP is now trading below $1.80, and pretty much every other cryptocurrency out there is seeing brutal corrections across the board. Now, this isn't just random market movement or typical volatility we're talking about here. There are some very specific reasons why this is happening right now, and we need to understand all of them to get the full picture. We're looking at issues ranging from the Clarity Act to new regulations, and even President Trump making some serious waves in the mainstream media with his comments about the Federal Reserve. We're going to cover every single one of these factors in detail today, and I'm also going to share my personal opinion on how long I think this downturn is likely to continue and what we can expect moving forward from here. But before we get into all the nitty-gritty details and analysis, let's just take a moment to talk about the absolute carnage we're seeing in terms of liquidations right now. These numbers are genuinely shocking, and they paint a pretty grim picture of what traders are experiencing in real time. Bitcoin falling below $85,000 has triggered a liquidation event that's seen over $430 million completely wiped out from the crypto market in just the past 60 minutes alone. Think about that for a second. $430 million liquidated in 1 hour, and honestly, these numbers are probably going to climb even higher as more and more people start panic trading in response to this massive liquidation period. We're in the thick of it right now, and we still haven't seen whether or not this situation is going to gain even more momentum and get worse than it currently is. The volatility is off the charts, leverage is getting completely flushed out of the system, and traders are getting absolutely wrecked, left and right. This is exactly why risk management is so crucial in this space, especially during times of extreme market stress like what we're witnessing today. Now let's zoom in specifically on XRP, because I know that's what a lot of you are here for. XRP is currently trading at $1.79, which represents a drop of 5.76% in just a single day. When you look at the charts, you can see this very steep decline happening, and it's clearly following all of the media attention and controversy surrounding the Clarity Act and everything that's been going on with that regulatory situation. The timing here is not coincidental at all. XRP has been incredibly sensitive to regulatory news, as we've seen time and time again over the years, and this latest drop is directly tied to the uncertainty and fear that's permeating through the market right now. But here's the thing you need to understand. While this price action looks scary in the short term, and yes, it is painful to watch your portfolio value drop like this, the fundamentals behind XRP haven't changed. We're still talking about a digital asset with massive institutional backing, real-world utility, and regulatory clarity that's better than almost any other cryptocurrency out there. So while the price is taking a beating today, the long-term thesis remains intact for those of us who understand the bigger picture here. On top of all the crypto-specific issues we're dealing with, we've also got President Trump coming out and putting even more pressure on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Trump recently made statements saying that Powell is basically failing in his duties and that the United States should be paying lower interest rates than any other country in the world. Now, I want to highlight this for just a minute here, because this is extremely crucial and important to understand when it comes to the current geopolitical and economic space that we're operating in. Not just for crypto, but for the broader economy as well. We have a Federal Reserve that absolutely does not want to lower interest rates right now because of their persistent fear of inflation getting out of control again. And listen, I totally understand that one of the Federal Reserve's top mandates is to make sure that inflation stays in check and doesn't spiral out of control like we saw a couple of years ago. But we have one massive problem here that extends beyond just America. And that problem affects the entire international financial system. Every single major currency in the world today is backed by absolutely nothing tangible. These are fiat currencies with no intrinsic value whatsoever. So here's my question, and I want you to really think about this. Why are we so worried about inflation when we're dealing with these essentially worthless paper dollars that in reality aren't actually worth anything substantial at all? This entire system is fundamentally broken at its core, and I genuinely think the sooner it collapses and we transition forward to a new financial system that actually has some sort of real underlying value, the better it's going to be for everyone in the long run. And when I talk about what's going to replace this broken system, I truly believe that precious metals are going to play a very large and significant part in that transformation. Gold and silver have been stores of value for thousands of years, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I also think XRP is going to be a very large part of that new financial infrastructure because of its speed, efficiency, and the institutional adoption we're already seeing. And yes, I also do think that Bitcoin is going to continue to be a very large part of that equation as well, serving as digital gold and a store of value for the modern age. But we need to move forward as a society, and we need to collectively realize that this current system is fundamentally flawed and broken beyond repair. Ever since we were removed from the gold standard back in the 1970s, paper money has lost virtually all of its real intrinsic value. It's just paper backed by nothing but government promises and faith in the system, and that faith is eroding more and more with each passing year as people wake up to the reality of what fiat currency actually represents. Before we dive even deeper into the specific dynamics of exactly why all of these price movements are happening and why I personally believe we're actually going to bottom out just a little bit lower very soon, I want to let you know about something important. I'm going to be releasing a bombshell update on my completely free newsletter very soon, and I want to make sure all of you guys get access to this critical information before that update drops. This is a dedicated crypto newsletter where we provide daily updates with analysis you won't find anywhere else. We're producing tons of extremely in-depth analysis and actionable insights that are available exclusively on this newsletter, delivered straight to your inbox so you never miss crucial market developments. I genuinely cannot stress enough just how valuable a lot of this information really is, and we're providing it completely free right now with no strings attached. So make sure that you join the newsletter by simply entering your email address and pressing the join button. The link for this will be down in the description below. Definitely check it out, especially after you finish watching this video, because the insights in there are going to help you navigate these choppy waters we're experiencing right now. Okay, now it's time to get into the real specifics of everything that's happening and why the price is absolutely dumping today in particular. There are actually many different factors that are currently playing into this simultaneous downturn, and I want to make absolutely sure that I cover all of them so you have the complete picture. First up, we have the Federal Reserve's hawkish stance that's really putting pressure on risk assets across the board. The Fed has made it crystal clear that they are not going to be lowering interest rates anytime soon, and they're planning to keep them around the current rate, which sits between 3.5 to 3.75%. Many people in the market were hoping and pricing in the expectation that we would have more imminent rate cuts, somewhere in the range of 25 to 50 basis points coming very soon. And of course, all of the dovish catalysts that are built around rate cuts, such as quantitative easing, money printing, and the aggressive expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, all of that is going to be put on hold as a direct result of this hawkish stance. So we've got to make sure everyone understands that the markets are now reacting to this reality and repricing all assets to reflect the fact that the Fed does not want to cut rates for at least the next few months. They've indicated they're going to hold steady until June or July, which is actually a couple more months than people were previously anticipating and pricing into their models. Now, we do know that Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to be replaced in May. So it is entirely possible that this monetary policy stance changes once new leadership comes in. But that replacement isn't happening until the end of May. So June is actually something that could be a very likely possibility for when we might see a policy shift, mainly because that's when the next Federal Reserve meeting is going to take place after Jerome Powell is officially removed from his position. Once the stimulus starts flowing again and the money printing machine gets turned back on, yes, that will absolutely help boost the crypto market and inject liquidity back into risk assets. But here's something really important that people often forget. There is still a 3-month lag between when monetary policy changes and when we actually see the effects ripple through to asset prices. So if everything plays out like how the Federal Reserve is currently saying it will, with rate cuts potentially coming in June or July, we might not see a significant crypto rally until the end of this year. And honestly, that timeline actually makes a lot of sense when you consider that the crypto bear market technically started back in October, when we had those mass liquidation events that really shook confidence in the market. So we could be looking at a full year cycle before we see the next major bull run really get going. We're also seeing a number of different geopolitical tensions escalating around the world, and of course, the potential US-Iran conflict and all the fears around that situation are ramping up significantly as of right now. There are reports of U.S. military movements, including carrier strike group deployments, and President Trump has been issuing ongoing warnings about Iran running out of time to make a deal. This kind of geopolitical uncertainty has historically driven what's called a flight to traditional safe haven assets. And that's exactly why we're seeing gold and silver absolutely explode in value right now, hitting new all-time highs almost every single day. And yes, I'm going to be talking a lot more about gold and silver on this channel moving forward because I think it's incredibly important for you to understand how these markets work together. If you're interested in that type of content, covering precious metals alongside crypto, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be releasing a dedicated video on that topic later today. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get access to that content as soon as it drops. But the key point here is that safe haven assets like gold and silver perform really well during times like this when we have geopolitical tensions rising and uncertainty about what the Federal Reserve is going to do with interest rates and monetary policy. Then we also have this broader risk-off rotation happening and macro uncertainty that's causing investors to completely reassess their portfolios. We can see that a lot of investors are actively rotating out of cryptocurrency and into precious metals specifically because of their safe haven asset status. As we were just talking about, amid all these fears over U.S. fiscal issues and potential government shutdown risks and ongoing tariff threats, gold and silver absolutely love all of these conditions. They are the ultimate safe haven assets when all of these negative factors are happening simultaneously in the global economy. People are literally dumping trillions of dollars into these precious metal asset classes right now, and they are continuously hitting new all-time highs, while crypto is just kind of struggling and slumping along. And the reason for this divergence is pretty simple. Cryptocurrency is still viewed as a riskier asset class, and investors treat it as such during times of uncertainty. When fear takes over the market, people run to what they perceive as safety, and that means gold, silver, and government bonds, not Bitcoin or XRP, at least not yet until crypto matures further as an asset class. We can also see there's tons of on-chain data and institutional selling pressure that's contributing to this downward momentum. Long-term Bitcoin holders and whales have been dumping their positions, and significant Bitcoin sales have been reported from major entities and exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, Wintermute, and others in coordinated or very large block transactions. In other words, very large institutions are deciding to exit the crypto market right now amid all of these ongoing risks and uncertainties we've been discussing. A lot of these institutional players are probably also putting a significant amount of money into gold and silver as part of their risk-off strategy. In fact, we know for certain that Tether, the company behind USDT, which is a massive institution in the crypto space, is putting a ton of capital into gold right now. They are literally buying tons and tons of physical gold and putting billions of dollars into gold acquisitions as a way to back their stablecoin and diversify their treasury. This tells you everything you need to know about where smart money is positioning itself during times of uncertainty. When the people who literally run the biggest stablecoin in crypto are loading up on gold, that's a signal worth paying attention to. When we look at some of the technical factors in play right now, we can see that Bitcoin is testing some key support levels that analysts have been watching very closely. Bitcoin is right now testing what's known as wedge support, with high leverage positions getting absolutely flushed out and volatility currently spiking to extreme levels inside of the markets. There's even some chatter on X, formerly Twitter, from traders and analysts pointing to potential exchange manipulation or larger institutional player cells that could also be playing into this even further, potentially expediting the downward price movement and resulting in certain dramatic price swings, like what we saw today, when XRP experienced a very substantial dump in price over a short period of time. So the TLDR, the too long didn't read summary for you guys, is this. Number 1, we are experiencing massive institutional selling pressure across the board. Number 2, there's a broader risk-off rotation happening right now with capital flowing out of crypto and into silver and gold. And that's precisely why I am personally covering a lot more silver and gold content right now, because I genuinely love precious metals as an asset class, and I have significant holdings in both. Shout out to my silver necklace right here that I'm wearing, which is made out of real silver. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy and chaotic situation we're dealing with right now, to say the absolute least. Now, that does not mean that it's all doom and gloom for cryptocurrency moving forward, and I want to make that point very clear to everyone watching. Historically, when we do have a massive rotation out of crypto and into precious metals like what we're witnessing right now, there is actually a pattern that tends to play out later on, and that's what's called a V-shaped recovery for crypto assets. We've seen this happen multiple times before in previous market cycles. And so that's precisely why I'm paying very close attention to XRP right now and studying its current price movements very carefully, looking for really attractive entry points as a direct result of these price drops. Because I know from experience, I've seen this exact pattern happen time and time again over the years, and I know what it typically results in. I've witnessed the V-shaped recoveries firsthand, and I understand that when everyone is panicking and exiting crypto to chase the next hottest thing, and when retail investors are not paying attention to XRP anymore, that's generally when these smart money institutions decide to enter back into the market at discounted prices. Then retail investors FOMO back in when it's way too late and prices have already recovered significantly. It's just the basic psychology of markets, guys. This is exactly how market cycles work, and how wealth gets transferred from impatient hands to patient hands who understand the game being played. We're also seeing some genuinely positive developments on the regulatory front that should not be ignored despite all the short-term negativity. SEC Chair Paul Atkins recently said that now is the right time to open up the $12.5 trillion 401k retirement market to cryptocurrency investments. This is absolutely massive news that's not getting nearly enough attention it deserves. With major developments like this on the horizon and gaining momentum, I don't think it's going to be very much longer before crypto finally gets the dovish altcoin season that we're all just patiently waiting for this year. Based on how things are currently playing out and the timeline we've discussed regarding Federal Reserve policy, I think the major altcoin rally is going to happen closer towards Q3, so we're talking third quarter of this year, somewhere around July, August, September timeframe. But nonetheless, we're talking about roughly 6 months or so until we can potentially see some really bullish market conditions returning to the crypto space. And once again, I am completely okay with waiting that out. I'm not going anywhere. I am going to wait this period out patiently, and I am going to remain a dedicated XRP Army member throughout this entire journey, fighting alongside all of you guys who believe in the long-term vision and potential of this technology. And I want to point you to the on-chain data and ETF flow metrics because they actually show you just how bullish the situation is for XRP right now, beneath the surface price action. When we look at ETF flows from January 28th, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP spot ETFs are actually seeing net inflows, meaning more money is flowing into these funds than flowing out. Meanwhile, Bitcoin spot ETFs are actually seeing net outflows, with more money leaving than entering. This is a really interesting divergence that tells us something important about investor sentiment and where smart money might be positioning for the next leg up. In other words, XRP under the right market conditions is going to be absolutely tremendous and could significantly outperform, but we really just have to wait for the broader market conditions to align in our favor. We need the Fed to start cutting rates. We need the money printer to get turned back on and inject liquidity into the system. We need those tariff-related stimulus checks to potentially be issued and various other catalysts to materialize. Once all of those pieces come together and reach fruition, there is absolutely not a single doubt in my mind that XRP is going to be posting incredibly amazing numbers and delivering returns that will reward those of us who stayed patient during times like these. And I am just waiting for that moment to arrive, and I know it's coming based on everything I'm seeing develop behind the scenes in terms of regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, and real-world use cases being built out. So yes, I just want to remind all of you guys who are watching this video to get access to the #1 newsletter in finance. It is completely free, there's no cost whatsoever, and there are amazing insights delivered in there that you won't find anywhere else. Some of the insights and analysis I include in the newsletter I genuinely can't even provide in my YouTube videos because there are certain restrictions around particular topics in the way YouTube's algorithm works. But you can get all of that uncensored information directly in my newsletter delivered to your inbox, so make sure that you sign up to the newsletter today. It's completely free with no obligations. I'll leave a link down in the description below for you to get access starting today. All you've got to do is enter your email address right there and press the Join the Newsletter button. That's literally it, and you'll start receiving valuable market insights immediately. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video and sticking with me through this entire analysis. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and definitely make sure you watch the silver and gold video that I'm going to be releasing later today, because it's going to tie directly into everything we discussed here. Turn that notification bell on so you don't miss it when it drops. You're absolutely not going to want to miss that content. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Peace out, Apex XRP Report family.